Hi everyone, my name is Nur Ala Najwa and I am the project manager for this project. So I will let you all to introduce yourself first before we start the meeting.
Hi, my name is Nurzana Batrisha and I am the marketer also as the ASEAN representative.
Hi guys, my name is Nur Batrisha and I am the cultural analysis for this project.
Hi everyone, my name is Nubira Binti Asri and I'm the negotiation strategist for this project.
Alright, thank you for participating in this meeting to discuss about the expansion of Papa Rich restaurant into the Asian market, which is Vietnam. Before we start, I would like to share about the introduction and background stories of the Papa Rich restaurant. The Papa Rich is founded by entrepreneur Rich Tan in 2005, where the first outlet is located in Selayaman, Malaysia. Papa Rich is focused on serving the authentic Malaysian cuisine such as nasi lemak, mee goreng, and laksa. They only use ingredients with great quality from all over Malaysia, thus it brings the taste of the real traditional foods to the world. Today, not only Papa Rich has incredibly grown with over 60 outlets in Malaysia, but also continue expanding its business overseas with 100 outlets and beyond. For instance, Thailand, New Zealand, and Australia. This can ensure that Malaysians who's living abroad can have a taste of home. With that, Papa Rich widely bringing the Malaysian unique foods all over the world through the quality and rich in taste foods. So our objective for this meeting, first, to discuss the challenge that Papa Rich need to face to enter the market and how they are going to address the problem. Second, the local custom that need to be adapted while doing business interaction, whether it's hierarchy or face-to-face meeting and more. And lastly, how to build trust, relationship and negotiation deals with Vietnam partners, although there are many sensitive cultural manners. So the restaurant vision and mission is: vision is to be recognized as a worldwide brand name for authentic Malaysian cuisine, while mission to serve foods only using the best and freshest ingredients for customer. Strive to provide value by creating perfect dining experience, providing services with the utmost integrity and transparency, and lastly, aspire to grow and do work that brings meaning and rewards to customer, company, and people. So now we're going to dive into our Vietnam project. Let's start with the marketing.
So, what are the opportunities for us to expand to Vietnam? So first we have first Vietnam has a rapid economic growth. So Vietnam's robust economic growth is a primary driver in our discussion today as they are changing to a more stable phase. They are focusing more on quality and and experience, thus the increasing consumer spending power. Also, they are driven by the stable GDP growth of 6 to 7% annually on average. And the Vietnamese market is becoming more and more attractive for quality food and beverage products. Other than that, tourism and hospitality work as accelerator as they boost demand for the food and beverages suppliers nationwide. People in Vietnam are seeking more comfortable dining while they are paying reasonable prices, and Papa Rich sits right in between as we have a concept of cheap local food but premium dining experience. Be growing cafe culture. So the cafe culture in Vietnam is experiencing a rapid evolution. They are blending the traditional and modern specialty coffee scene. So with this happening among the youngsters, it creates an opportunity for a business like us. And also, as they are seeking places not simply for good foods, but also a place that serves a nice environment while ensuring sustainability. And as for that, young consumers are exhibiting increased curiosity towards ASEAN food brands. They are driven by their desire for convenience, high quality, and trendy international experiences as they are leaning towards premium and more organic options. So the growing appreciation for regional products might help us during the break into the market. Now I will move to the challenges for us to break into the Vietnamese market. So the first challenge would be strong local competitors. Vietnam already have existing intense competition and market saturation between the local brands themselves. Their market is highly saturated with both local and large, well-established brands, especially in the cafe industry. So Vietnamese consumers tend to be highly sensitive to the quality and price of their food, which might make making profit a little bit more challenging than usual, as the business need to serve quality alongside keeping a fair price for everyone, and for us to cater to the local standards. But other than that, the locals have established emotional familiarity with local businesses that they know and they can trust. So as the new business who is trying to enter the market, it might take a little bit of time for us to gain their trust as a food brand. Moving on to the second point, it would be strict local laws. So despite the attractive growing market, we may face a little bit more complex legal procedures as a foreign brand. So foreign businesses usually face a stricter regulatory requirements. It ranges from obtaining the mandatory licenses like IRC and ERC to sector-specific permits. As a foreign business, it is doable. However, it just takes a longer time to have everything approved. And the food safety regulations in Vietnam is also non-negotiable, especially in the use of ingredients and additive. We may receive more scrutiny if we were to be compared with small local eateries. So a clearer report and well-managed operations is a little bit crucial for us. Moving on, I'll be going to the key industries in Vietnam. So, as we all know, the food industry has embraced technological advancement with high-tech farming to improve their yields and quality, as the people in Vietnam are now making sure of the quality of their food. So the rise of fresh food e-commerce, along with strict traceability requirements, drives their continued investment in this sector. So moving on to ecotourism, Vietnam's wellness tourism is experiencing growth where many seek restorative experiences. So visitors are showing curiosity towards Vietnam's biodiversity and landscapes. They offer unique experiences for environmentally conscious travelers through sustainable travel. So the last point would be hospitality. So the hospitality market is showing a strong diversification, with independent hotels holding the largest market share. Leisure hotels dominate the accommodations category due to Vietnam's rich cultural heritage and scenic destination such as Da Nang, Nha Trang, and Phu Quoc. Next, I will be moving on to what our entry strategy would be to enter the market. In my opinion, I think it would be best for us to use joint venture instead of other entry strategy like franchising. This is because we can start by establishing a strong local network. By having a local network, it can help us in assisting with navigating bureaucracy and also sourcing location. It helps a lot, especially regarding processes which involve the local government and which strategy that works best that fit the local consumer. Also, what are the current trends in the country? So having a great partner from the local market can give us the local feedback before starting the business, which is, I think, extremely valuable for us. This will help the business to adapt quicker rather than doing everything on our own. So having a guide, especially a local guiding us, I think it will create a better path and it can enable us to plan our business better. So the promotion start. So first, I think we should start by using the digital first engagement. This is a very common strategy, especially in this days and age. So the rapid growth of the internet cannot be denied. We should utilize them, such as using short form videos by posting on TikTok. We can post on Instagram Reels or even YouTube Shorts. So through these internet platforms, we can start gaining engagement to create some sort of excitement or maybe curiosity of the locals before we start penetrating into their marketplace. Secondly, I think we should collaborate with their local food delivery platforms like maybe Grab, because by having our cuisine on these platforms, customers may try them despite their lack of time or chance to come and try them at the restaurant. So in addition, we should make a grand opening promotions to lure in customers and to stimulate their interest. That's my opinion. And for the last promotion strategy would be, we should create a social media marketing team to focus on the pre-release and establishing our brand image online before the grand openings. Other than that, we may also initiate a collaboration by partnering with a maybe well-known influencer or public figure so that we can help promote and make them the face of the brand. So usually having a face brand help the engagement with public better. That is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you for the market insight. Now, Patricia, could you share your findings on local custom or expectation we should be aware of in Vietnam?
Hi guys, my name is Nur Patricia and I'm your cultural analyst for this project. Before we discuss strategies for expanding Paparich to Vietnam, it is important to understand and one key factor that will determine our success, which is culture. Entering a new market is not just about offering good food for competitive prices. It is about understanding how people think, communicate, and build relationship. In a country like Vietnam, where communication is often indirect, respect and trust play a major role in business interactions. If we fail to adapt to these cultural expectations, even a strong brand like Papa Rich may struggle to connect with customers. Therefore, today's discussion will focus on the importance of cultural understanding and how it can help us adapt our communication, service, and overall business approach to better fit the Vietnamese market. Loud voices are not necessarily considered rude in Vietnamese culture. In some situations, speaking loudly can simply show enthusiasm and normal conversation, especially in busy environments. Therefore, it is important not to misunderstand this as an anger or disrespect. Third, Vietnamese people can be quite expressive verbally, especially in daily conversation. Tone of voice and choice of words can carry important meaning. So, communication is not just about what is said, but how it is said. Even though they are expressive, they tend to be more indirect in what they say, especially in formal or business situation. It is important that staff do not misunderstand tone as aggression and instead focus on understanding the meaning behind the words. Let us look at Vietnamese business ethic, which is essential for ensuring smooth and respectful interaction. First, greetings are very important in Vietnam. A polite handshake, a slight nod, and a warm smile are common in professional setting. It is also important to greet the most senior person first as a sign of respect. Second, in Vietnam, it is relationship first, business second. People prefer to build trust and personal connection before discussing business matter. Taking time for small talk or informal conversation helps strengthen this relationship. Now, let us move on to the Vietnamese cultural sensitivity in interaction. First, you should avoid pointing fingers when communicating. In Vietnam culture, this can be seen as rude or aggressive. Instead, use an open hand gesture or more subtle body language. Second, it is important to not break promises. Keeping your word builds trust and credibility. If commitments are not fulfilled, it can damage long-term relationship and reputation. Next, let us focus on how to adapt Papa Rich in Vietnam according to local custom. First, Papa Rich should focus on communicating politely and indirectly. Staff should avoid being too direct and instead use soft, respectful language that maintains harmony and avoid conflict. Second, the company must focus on relationship and trust. In Vietnam, strong business success depends on building trust over time rather than pushing for quick results. It is not about selling food, but also about creating a friendly and welcoming experience. Simple things like remembering regular customer or having small conversation can really help build trust. Next, staff need to understand what is considered polite or rude in Vietnamese culture. For example, they should avoid pointing and speaking too directly or criticizing customer openly, as these can be seen as disrespectful. Staff should also learn to stay calm, be patient, and use respectful language at all times, especially when handling complaints. Maintaining a positive attitude helps avoid conflicts and protects the customer's dignity.
So, Patricia, how to arrange Papa Rich in Vietnam?
I'm glad you asked that. The company should communicate politely and indirectly, using a respectful, soft approach that fits local communication style. Silence is common in meeting means that your partner are thinking about your interests. Interrupting this time of reflection can be considered rude. Further, silence may be used when someone disagrees, so not cause a loss of face for attendance. Second, focus on relationships and trust is very essential in the Vietnamese market. Always invest time in building a good relationship based on both personal and business line. Vietnamese believe that the key to a successful business is trust. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
The cultural context is clear. We should be aware of Vietnamese sensitivity culture. So Zahira, should we tailor our negotiation approach to build trust and get the best outcome?
Thank you, Najwa. In Vietnam, business negotiation focus strongly on trust, professionalism, and long-term relationship. First, polite and respectful communication. Maintaining professionalism during negotiation in Vietnam means paying attention to how you address people. Businesses should use proper title when addressing Vietnamese partners as a sign of respect and can make discussion go more smoothly. For example, use titles such as Mr., Mrs., Miss of professional designation. Second, patience. During negotiation, stay patient even if questions seem repetitive. Often these are tests of consistency and honesty. Answer calmly with facts and brief example and pause if you need time to think. Never overstate your product or criticize competitors as such claims can be checked and will hurt credibility. Vietnamese partners usually come well prepared, so avoid aggressive or evasive tactics and keep a respectful tone. Okay, next, approach for building trust, establishing the relationship and negotiation deals in a culturally sensitive manner. First, prioritize face-to-face interaction. Even though technology has made this communication much easier, Vietnamese business culture still values personal interaction very highly. Meeting someone face-to-face helps create stronger trust and better relationship compared to only communicating online. It also shows security, respect, and commitment towards the business partnership. Therefore, whenever possible, companies should arrange in-person meetings instead of depending entirely on virtual communication. Next, leverage local expertise. Malaysian companies should consider which working local experts, experts or consultants who understand Vietnam culture, business practice and regulation. These local partners can provide valuable guidance on cultural differences and industry expectations. In addition, collaborating with trusted local partners can help companies build stronger relationships and communicate more effectively with Vietnamese businesses. Companies also should provide cultural training to help employees understand Vietnamese custom and business ethics. That's all from me. Thank you.
Alright, thank you for the valuable insight. So now let's focus on practical tips for success in the Vietnam market. We need actionable steps for a Malaysian restaurants which is Papa Rich to break into the Vietnams effectively. I'll start with the first point, sharing practical tips for entering the Asian market.
To answer that question, I would go back to my suggestion of using joint venture to enter the Vietnamese market, as by having joint venture we can establish our image as a brand more effectively rather than using franchising, which could be slightly difficult for us to handle it directly from Malaysia.
Okay, good. So how can our Malaysian restaurant leverage local networks to strengthen its position in each Asian country, especially Vietnam?
I think success in Vietnam depends on adapting to the culture, especially on how the business communicates and build relationships. Understanding local customs, communication style, and values is essential for building trust, avoid misunderstanding, and creating positive customer experiences. That's it for me.
Okay, understood. So how about forming partnership and adapting marketing strategies for Vietnam country?
In my opinion, companies should communicate respectfully and build trust with local businesses. For partnership or local networks, Malaysian brands should collaborate with trusted local partners and local businesses network to better understand Vietnamese business culture and strengthen business relationship. That's all from me.
Alright, so let's wrap up our discussion. So based on our analysis, the key to succeeding in the Vietnam market is blending Papa's restaurant concept with modern and localized approaches. We need to understand local consumer trends, adapt our menus and marketing to fit local tastes and custom. Building strong local partnership will be crucial for market entry. So let's use culturally sensitive negotiation and marketing tactics for sustainable growth. Practical tips like localized research, pilot testing, and tailored campaigns for each market will help us get there. The goal is a cohesive, culturally aware strategy that drives our success across Asia. I would like to thank you all for participating and taking your time in this discussion. Thank you, everyone.